Hello and welcome to another Quarantine Theater Company. Hello, Kat. We are doing War Games tonight, the 80s classic. It's gonna be amazing. Joining us tonight, we've got a small little cast here, but a mighty one. We've got, excuse me, we've got Scott as our David. Katie is going to be our Jennifer. George is going to be our General Behringer and Cabot. We're all playing multiple roles, except for Scott, because it's kind of like in every scene. Logan's going to be our McKittrick and a few others. And we've got Travis as Pat Healy. You're welcome. No, it's a girl, right?
Nope.
It is. All right. And I will be some miscellaneous characters as well. So without further ado, let's get this started. War Games, written by Lawrence Lasker, Walter F. Parks, Waylon Green, and John Bedham. This is 1982, so flashback, technology, it's great. War Games, fade in. Red River Valley, North Dakota, dusk. A blizzard fills the screen. Headlights gradually emerge with a van with military plates comes to stop next to the guard gate. Two hooded figures climb out and struggle against the freezing wind towards what looks like a farmer's house. Interior farmer's house. The two men remove snow-clogged boots and sopping parkas, revealing a bright blue jumpsuits with 321st Missile Wing emblazoned on the back, and offsetting orange ascots. We're in a Minuteman III Missile Launch Control Center. Starbuck! Damn it! Sorry. Jerry, get off! Move. Apologies. Cat causing chaos. Jerry, the older and huskier of the two, opens a locked satchel chained to his wrist and slides a red folder under the window to a guard sitting behind a bulletproof glass. The guard opens the folder, examines two photo IDs and studies the men's faces and picks up a phone.
Replacement team here, sir. Yeah, right. Come on through. Another 20 minutes and we're going to start looking for you.
Jerry and his deputy Steve clean cut a new Air Force are buzzed through into the secure area. The guard again compares their faces to the photos, then returns their folder and hands them two service pistols with holsters. Oh, this is me. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
The two men strap on their holsters as they walk down a corridor to an elevator. A young guard with an M16 snaps to attention. They step into the elevator. Two massive sets of steel doors close.
So you used to hear her chanting all night long. Amane pulled me on. Amane pulled me on.
Over the plants?
Yeah, she'd hold her hands over the seeds and chant by the hour. Grow the most beautiful wandos you ever saw. Primo stuff, Resin City.
The elevator door opens and we see underground launch levels. Steel and concrete give the impression that this structure could withstand a direct hit by a 5-megaton bomb. It could. As the elevator doors open, an alarm begins to wail. Jerry and Steve walk along a corridor to reach the door to the launch capsule. Jerry punches out a code on a keyboard to the side of the oval door. The door is opened by the missile commander and his deputy inside the launch capsule. The alarm stops.
We were worried about you guys. The roads must be...
What roads?
It's the visibility.
What's that?
It's a mustache.
New image. The grunt killed me. The commander surveys the mustache briefly and straightened up.
I'm going home. Good night, gentlemen.
The outgoing team leaves the capsule. Jerry and Steve step in and close the airlock door. The launch capsule, the 10 by 20 foot capsule, is crammed with panels of high-frequency transmitters, circuit breakers, air purification, and backup systems. A high-speed printer with direct line to SAC headquarters, one refrigerator, one small and unprivate latrine, and two launch consoles 12 feet apart. Each launch This is a tongue twister. Each launch console has a computer terminal of a large annunciator panel that gives the status of each of the 10 missiles controlled by this capsule. A bright red strongbox with 2 combination locks is mounted on the capsule wall. Steve unwraps his holster, hangs it on a hook, and sits down at the end of the chair with his console, while Jerry walks to the rear of the capsule and inspects his mustache in the mirror. Number 9 is still non-functional, sir. All others are clean and green.
I like it.
Angle on Steve, pushing a series of buttons. He activates a row of lights and a buzzer, which he then clears by pushing a second relay. So it was the Sinsemilla, right?
Sensimilla? Yeah, this grass-made Thai stick tastes like oregano, man. It would lay you flat.
A red light on Steve's panel fails to respond to the release button. Sir, red light.
What on?
Number 8, warhead alarm.
Just give it a thump with your finger.
Steve thumps the light. It blinks off and the buzzer stops. He continues to check the list. Interior ICBM silo. From a high angle, the camera views the ominous cylindrical from an ICBM. Swear these are all tongue twisters. Interior missile launch capsule. Later, Jerry clips his fingernails while Steve studies a mechanical manual. Suddenly, a warble comes over the loudspeaker. Skybird, this is Dropkick with a Blue Dash Alpha message in 2 parts. Break. Both men snap into action. Each grabs a red format book from the shelf above their console. They flick through a blue plastic page marked Blue Dash Alpha WOPR execution order.
Stand by to copy message.
Standing by. Blue Dash Alpha, Romeo, Oscar, November, Charlie, Tango, Lima. Each man carefully copies the code into the spaces in his format book with a felt marker. Authentication, Delta, Lima, Golf, 2, 2, 4, 0, Niner, Tango, Victor, X-ray. Jerry unstraps his seatbelt and moves quickly to the red strongbox. Steve is there to meet him. In a tense silence, they each open a combination lock to remove a brass key. A blue credit card-like authenticator marked Blue A. At their seats, Jerry and Steve nervously rip the seals off their authenticators. Jerry's fingers tremble slightly as he compares the letters on his authenticator with those he just copied down. They match. Jerry then compares it with the letters appearing on his computer screen. Once again, they match. Holy shit. Jerry remains staring at the screen.
Easy now. Run a confirmation. Some asshole must have his wires crossed.
Silent, but with sudden grim determination, each man types into his terminal. Within a few seconds, the screens display. Launch order confirmed. Target selection complete. Enable missiles. Launch time T-minus 60 seconds. Begin countdown. Over the loudspeaker, a voice begins the countdown as both men stare at their screen. T-minus 60. T-minus 59. T-minus 58. Shit. It's real.
All right, let's do it.
Each man buckles his seatbelt and inserts the key into the slot marked off, set, launch.
Insert unlock codes.
Stand by, unlock codes inserted.
Insert launch key.
Roger, launch key inserted. Jerry just stares ahead, pushing for a beat.
Okay, on my mark, rotate launch key to set. 3, 2, 1, mark.
They twist their keys simultaneously to set. Roger, at set. Steve is poised, awaiting the next orders from his commander. Sir?
Enable missiles.
Steve begins the missile enabling procedure, opening and flicking a series of protected switches. Number 1 enabled. Number 2 enabled. Number 3 enabled. As Steve continues, Jerry stares ahead, and then...
Wait a minute. I want to get this straight with somebody on the goddamn phone.
Jerry grabs the phone. A loud wail blares from these earpieces. He slams it down. All missiles are enabled.
Get me wing command post on a direct line.
Steve picks up the phone. Another loud wail. He turns helplessly to Jerry.
SEC. Try SEC headquarters on the HF.
But Captain, this isn't the procedure.
Screw the procedure. I want to get somebody on the goddamn phone before I kill 20 million people.
Steve snatches up the headset. He begins turning the channel selector on military transmitter. Nothing, sir. They've probably been vaporized. Jerry takes a deep breath.
All right, on my mark. Rotate launch keys to launch.
Roger. Ready to go to launch.
T-minus 13.
T-minus 13.
T-minus 12.
T-minus 12.
T-minus 11.
T-minus 11.
T-minus 10.
T-minus 10.
T-minus
T-minus 10.
T-minus 10.
Jerry falters and goes silent. Steve senses something is wrong. Jerry moves his hand from the key. Sir? Sir, we have orders. Jerry looks up. He points his .38 automatic at him. Put your hand on the key, sir. T-minus 6. T-minus 5. T-minus 4. Simultaneously, the countdown appears on the monitor.
I'm sorry.
T-minus 3. T-minus 2. T-minus 1. Launch. Sir, we are at launch. Turn the key.
I'm trying.
Jerry sits inert with his hand on his key. Suddenly, from the loudspeaker, an ear-splitting shriek fills the tiny capsule. Cut to main title montage, stock footage. The molten half orb of a thermonuclear explosion fills the screen. Columns of fiery clouds rise above the landscape. 5 nuclear fireballs erupt in tandem, the last climbing majestically skyward. Details of churning clouds convulsing with the surface heat of the sun blend in the final abstraction of the Holocaust. The main title ends as the clouds of fire dissolve into the ashen white of a high altitude cumulus, and suddenly, emerging from them, the magnificent ice-clad crests of the Rocky Mountains can be seen. Exterior Cheyenne Mountain day, descending towards the bulk of the single massive peak. Details of the landscape can be seen. A blue Air Force station wagon climbs a winding road and stops at a small parking area where the cyclone fence and a security building can be seen. It is the entrance to NORAD, the North American Air Defense Command in Cheyenne Mountain. Exterior NORAD, arrival area day. 2 men distinguished by the careful tailoring of top echelon Washington bureaucrats get out. Arthur Cabot, the oldest of the two, was immediately greeted by Patricia Healy, 30-ish, a civilian employee of the Defense Department. Cute, perky, girly. That's you, Travis. God damn it, Travis.
And it is. And it is. And hold on just a second. Mr. Cabot, I'm Pat Healy, Dr. McKittrick's assistant.
Lyle Watson, Cabot's assistant, introduces himself as the group heads towards the security gate. Pat distributes red ID tags, which men clip to their jackets.
We set up a briefing pending your arrival. In the meantime, if you have any questions, I'll do my best to fill you in.
The group arrives at the security gate and Healy leads them into a small bus. Interior NORAD entrance tunnel day. Pat, Healy, Cabot, Watson are silent during their descent into the main man-made grottos of NORAD. Angle. The bus pulls up next to some supply trucks parked at the loading area. They get into a small electric tug and head through 2 huge blast doors that lead into the Combat Operations Center. A windowless city of 15 buildings constructed inside a 5-acre grid of interconnecting chambers. Each building sits clear of the rock walls on a massive hydraulic shock absorbers. Excuse me. Interior NORAD computer control room. Dr. John McKittrick, a senior advisor with the Department of Defense, leans over a tabletop of blueprint schematics. He discusses the fine points of a vast computer system with assistant Paul Richter and a rumpled and a high-strung young man. Pat Healy enters and McKittrick glances up.
They're here.
Wrong movie. McKittrick moves his jacket from the chair and starts out of the room. Interior NORAD hallway. McKittrick straightens his tie as he walks beside Pat Healy.
Cabot and Watson came on their own. No senators and no congressmen.
That's too bad. Could have used a few senators.
Sir.
They reach the doorway to another building.
They ought to see what really goes on here.
Interior NORAD briefing room. An hour later, Cabot and Watson sit around a table with General Jack Behringer and aide Daughtry. Pat Healy cleans up some plates and debris, and John McKittrick pours a cup of coffee as the argument rages.
Are you sure these men had no way of knowing it was only a test?
Lyle, we've been through this. It doesn't matter. I talked to the men myself. They all believed it was the real thing. Look, we've got to be on a plane in less than an hour. I'm the one who has to explain to the president why 22% of his missile commanders failed to launch their missiles. What the hell am I going to tell him? That 22% isn't so bad?
McKittrick returns to the table and stands behind his chair.
I take full responsibility for the men in my command. I've ordered a complete review of the psychological screening procedures.
Excuse me, General, but I don't think we can ask these men to go back to Washington with the bunch of head shrinking bullshit. Well, the problem is you can't screen out human responses. Those men down there knew what turning that key means. Got to get these men out of the loop.
You're out of line. Take the men out of the launch capsules.
Why not?
We've had men in those silos protecting our country since before any of you were watching Howdy Doody. I sleep well at night knowing those boys are down.
General, they're fine men. I agree with you there, but isn't it just a big charade? I mean, all they're supposed to do is turn those keys when the computer tells them to.
You mean when the president orders them to?
Well, yes, but in the event of a Soviet strike, the president would order us to follow the war plans generated by the computer.
I imagine the Joint Chiefs would have some input.
You're damn right. Well, not a lot. If the Soviets launch a surprise attack, we don't have much time.
23 minutes from warning till impact, 6 minutes if they're sub-launched.
6 minutes. Just enough time for the president to make his decision, and then it's all up to the computers. Gentlemen, can you spare 5 minutes? Let me show you.
Interior NORAD Computer Center. The group walks between banks of huge computers as the discussion continues.
See, these computers give us instant access to the state of the world. Troop movement, Soviet missile tests, shifting weather patterns, it all flows into this room.
McKittrick walks towards a large gray machine that sits the size of a VW Bug. Sorry, the script is old and hard to read. Paul Richter, McKittrick's excitable assistant, looks up from his terminal at the machine.
And to this, the WOPR computer.
McKittrick turns to face the general.
Not really, Jack, but what I think we're talking about is eliminating human error. We still have plenty of human control at the top, where it belongs.
Behringer glares at the hand on his shoulder, then looks away. Watson strokes the surface of the WOPR machine.
So this is where Armageddon is played. I hope they got it. Always stays here.
That's the whole idea.
Cut to exterior Seattle day. The city sits under a typically overcast day. Interior snack bar day, a fast food restaurant with a few video games tucked into one corner. Close up on David Lightman, 17, pale, carelessly dressed in a torn t-shirt and jeans that just hang loosely at his lanky frame.
The WOPR?
Yeah. That's War Operation Plan Response. Mr. Richard, tell them how it works. Well, WOPR, it spends its time thinking about World War III 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. It plays an endless series of war games, using all available information on the state of the world. Yes, the WOPR has already fought World War III as a game any number of times, estimating Soviet responses to our responses to their responses, and so on. Then it looks for ways to improve its score in a real war. The point is, the key decisions about every conceivable option in a nuclear crisis have already been made by the WOPR. If the day ever comes when the president orders us to follow the plans, I want to make damn sure they're carried out.
Cabot turns to McKittrick, clearly sympathetic.
But right now, all this $1 trillion hardware is at the mercy of those men with the little brass keys.
Whose only problem is they're human. You give me 4 to 6 weeks, max, and we can replace them with electronic relays. Then we can get the humans out of the goddamn loop.
John, I don't trust this overgrown pile of microchips any further than I can throw it. You're talking about eliminating human control.
in Seattle, a shy 10-year-old looks on as David intensely plays one of those games. Whistles and explosions indicate unseen action on the computer screen. A close-up of Missile Commander game. David targets and fires his missiles to intercept the enemy force so successfully that he's already won 6 free games. Angle on David as he fires another missile and glances at his digital watch during the explosion. Oh my god! 6 minutes late!
You want to finish it?
10-year-old nods, hell yeah.
Go ahead.
David hurries out of the arcade. Exterior high school day. David runs across the schoolyard and into the main entrance. Interior biology class. David enters the classroom, obviously several minutes late, and starts towards the back of the room. Mr. Liggett stands behind his desk. Test questions are on the blackboard behind him.
Glad you could join us, David. Little present for you up here.
Liggett holds up a blue book on his desk. David picks it up. On the cover, an F in red ink. Liggett smiles slightly. David shrugs and takes a seat in the back row next to Jennifer Mack, an impishly pretty brunette. Liggett wanders before class, waxing lyric. In his hand, he holds another test marked with a large F.
Question 4. In the history of science, novel and innovation concepts occasionally come from sudden left field inspiration. Jennifer, would you tell us your answer to question 4? Why do nitrogen nodules cling to the roots of plants?
Jesus Christ. Jennifer listens, her eyes lowered in embarrassment, and David glances at her, clearly sympathetic.
Love?
The class titters.
Love. Jennifer, what do you know about nitrogen nodules that we don't? Some bit of salacious info to which you alone are privy?
No.
I see. You didn't know the correct answer, symbiosis, because you don't pay attention in class.
Liggett holds up Jennifer's test paper for all to see. What a dick. It's marked with a large F. He hands it to a student in the front row to pass back to Jennifer.
Now, there's a lot of confusion about this next one. Asexual reproduction. Can somebody tell me who first suggested the idea of reproduction without sex?
Liggett turns to the blackboard where it is written asexual reproduction equals without sex. A few more titters because it's high school students. David whimpers something to Jennifer, who cracks up.
I fail to see the humor in this. Miss Mack, what is so amusing?
Jennifer looks at David, still laughing.
All right, Lightman. Maybe you can tell us who first suggested reproduction without sex.
David looks down at his F and glances at Jennifer before he replies.
Your wife?
That's amazing. Interior high school administration office day. David breezes up to the reception desk and hands a pink slip to a young woman.
Mr. Liggett wants me to discuss an attitude problem with Mr. Kessler.
I think Mr. Kessler's getting tired of discussing your attitude problem.
She motions him down a short corridor towards the boy's vice principal's office. He sits down on a bench out of view. At the far end of the corridor, David can see the school's 2 computer rooms, and one, a middle-aged woman, is busily working at a terminal. The other room is empty, the door open. David listens for a moment to the stern voice behind the boy's VP door, and then gets up and quickly walks towards the deserted computer room, keeping an eye on the woman next door. Entering the high school computer room day, David darts into the room and pulls out a sliding panel from the desk next to the computer terminal. Taped to the panel is a long list of 6-letter words, all crossed out except the last. Pencil. Interior high school admin office day. David slides the panel back. He hurries to a bench just as the door to the boys' VP office opens.
Lightman, what a surprise. Won't you come in?
Exterior high school day. David walks along the sidewalk on his way home from school. He carries a single book. Jennifer appears on her moped and rides beside him.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
David continues walking as Jennifer stays beside him on the moped.
I'm sorry I got you in trouble. I just couldn't stop laughing.
No, it's okay. You were perfect.
I was?
Uh-huh.
Without totally understanding, Jennifer responds with a, huh. And for a beat, they are silent. Then,
Hey, you want to ride home?
Sure.
she stops and he climbs on the back of her moped. Exterior Seattle Street. David reacts as Jennifer maneuvers between cars.
Hey, you got an F too, huh?
Yep.
I guess we'll be stuck in summer school.
Not me.
Why not? Aren't you gonna have to make up biology?
I don't think so.
Why not?
If you want to come in, I'll show you.
Sure.
Over here.
Exterior Lightman House Day. They round a corner on the moped and proceed down a residential street, stopping in front of a middle-income, two-story house. David gets off the moped. Ralph, his dog, runs over to say hello. Interior Lightman House stage. Jennifer follows David inside. Watch it, girl. Glancing around the hallway, she sees the house, and the house is obviously deserted. David pauses near the staircase.
My room's upstairs.
Your parents
Jennifer
aren't
rightfully hesitates and then follows him up the stairs.
your parents aren't home?
They both work.
Upstairs hallway day, they approach David's room. A sign on the door warns, "This is a secure area. Authorized entry only. No exceptions." He removes a key and unlocks the door, and they enter into David's bedroom day. It's dark. David flips a switch. The silence is broken by the hum of electronic circuitry as panels and pools of light appear around the room. Noting that his bed is a mess and a pair of underwear is on the floor, ew, David makes a quick, embarrassed attempt at straightening up. Jennifer quickly scans the computer system. A couple of old Sylvania TVs serve as monitors for an electronic keyboard from an outmoded Altair terminal. A printer rigged from an electric typewriter, wires running to a variety of other makeshift hardware, including a modem, a telephone coupler. That's what a modem is, guys. Apparently they didn't know that back in 1982. Memory storage units and several floppy disk drives. Wow, floppy disks. Wow. Anyway, David sits down at the main terminal and hits the enter key. He takes one of the telephone receivers and places it in the modem and punches out a phone number.
You're really into computers, huh?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I'm dialing into the Central School District system.
On the monitor, it says, "This is the Seattle Public School District DataNet. Please log in with user password."
They change the password every couple of weeks, but I know where they write it down.
David enters pencil. The terminal displays a list of subsystems to choose from. David requests student transcripts. A complete record of David's dismal high school career is displayed. David moves the small correction square over his biology grade, F.
These are your grades?
Yep. I don't think I deserved an F. Do you?
The F becomes a C.
You can't do that.
Already done. Jesus, how could anybody get a D in home ec?
Jennifer appears at the monitor, now displaying her own mediocre grades.
That's none of your What are you doing?
I'm changing your biology grade.
No, you're gonna get me in trouble.
No one will find out.
Move. David moves the small correction square over the F and presses an A.
You just got an A. Now you don't have to go to summer school.
Change it back.
Why? They can't possibly trace what
I said change it back.
Okay.
The A goes back to an F.
Listen, I guess I better get going.
Get
Sure. Thanks again for the ride.
Yeah, okay, bye.
She closes the door and heads down the steps. Back on David, he turns back to his terminal and changes her biology grade to an A. Interior Lightman dining room night. Dinner time at the Lightman house. A segment of That's Incredible drones from the TV in the den. David's father, Mr. Lightman, is a thin, balding man, meticulously butters a piece of Wonder Bread and then proceeds to wrap it around an ear of corn, slowly rotating it to grease the cob evenly. Ralph sits patiently by, waiting for his chance. David eats while reading junk mail. of the day and the latest issue of Computer Magazine. At the other end of the table, a plate of food sits, untouched. From behind the closed kitchen door, Mrs. Lightman's loud telephone chatter can be heard.
Ralph, you already ate. Now stay.
But you got to see
Trash.
the place. It's my pride and joy.
Yeah.
All of my listings. Yes, 2 bedrooms, a bath, and a half and a huge bonus room. Put the lid on real tight so Ralph won't turn it over. They are
Hi there,
willing
Mom.
to get. Well, they're willing to back on a second. I think we can work something with creative financing. All right, I'll meet you at 9:30 tomorrow.
Mr. Mr. Lightman nods approval. David's attention is caught by a provocative 3-page insert announcement. Quantum leap in computer games from Protovision this summer. David, having finished, excuses himself and rises from the table and puts the dishes in the sink. What a good boy. Ralph follows David, who sneaks him a leftover on the sly. Interior hallway night. As David crosses the hallway to the vestibule, his mother watches him go. As he mounts the steps, she turns to Mr. Lightman.
I worry about him. I think one of these days we're going to get electrocuted.
He crunches on his corn. David is on the phone.
Yeah, for Sunnyvale, California, please. The number for Protovision. Thanks. Oh, and could you tell me what other prefixes cover that area?
As the operator speaks, David jots down the numbers.
Thank you.
David opens a file box and rifles through a collection of thin plastic discs the size of 45s, floppy disks, program storage units for home computers. Wow, this is very descriptive for ancient technology. I love it. He inserts one into a disk reader. The machine begins to whir and sends a display to the monitor. That's the thing you look at, apparently. Modem tone scan, copyright by David Lightman. Unauthorized use or duplication of this program is strictly prohibitado. David places the telephone receiver in the modem and hits return key on the terminal. Monitor. To scan for modem tones, please try list desired area code and prefix. David types 311-39 through 399, 311-437, 311-767, 311-936. He hits the return key again and the program starts to run. He turns up the monitor knob on the modem and listens as the computer automatically dials the first number, 311-399-0000. After one ring, an irate voice answers, "Hello!" The computer disconnects and rings the next number, 311-399-001. David turns off the monitor speaker, crawls into bed with his magazine, and begins to read as the computer screen fills up with phone numbers. Fade to black. Fade back in. Interior snack bar day. School's out. Kids play electronic games as David is among them. At the most difficult combat game, David's hands dance over the controls, darting away, occasionally to grab a bite of hamburger and a sip from a Coke. Jennifer approaches and she watches him for a beat.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
David does not lose.
You're gonna spoil your dinner.
This is my dinner.
Listen, I thought it over last night.
What?
That thing with my grade, can you still change it?
For a split second, David's concentration is broken, allowing an enemy missile to hit his base.
I can't believe I was so stupid. I should have just let you do it.
David begins fighting back the invaders, but as they are gaining on him, he reacts with another hit.
Anyway, I wanted to ask you if you could still do it.
In an effort to avoid confusion, or avoid the question, David appears to intensify his concentration on the game.
I don't know. It might be kind of rough.
Why?
I don't know. They might have changed the password.
But maybe they didn't. Couldn't we at least try and see?
David stares at the game.
Please.
Interior David's room, late afternoon. The monitor is a single square against a black limbo, methodically printing out phone numbers as it continues to dial them. The lights are turned on as soon as David enters with Jennifer. She crosses to the terminal and stares at it curiously.
What's it doing?
Don't touch the keys.
I won't, but what's it doing?
Dialing numbers. This computer company is coming out with these amazing new games in a couple of months. The programs for them are probably still on their computers, so I told my system to search for computers in Sunnyvale.
David takes the phone off the modem, hands it to Jennifer, and dials a number.
They answer with a tone that other computers can recognize.
As Jennifer hears the high frequency tone over the phone, she watches the growing list of phone numbers on the monitor.
You're calling every number in Sunnyvale, California?
David nods, grinning.
Isn't that expensive?
There's ways around that.
Is this going to take long? I'd really like to get my grade changed.
David stares at the monitor.
Yeah, well, thing is, actually, I already changed it.
What? I told you not to do that.
I was sure you'd change your mind.
Jennifer pouts for a bit.
Besides, I didn't want you to flunk. Let's see what we've got so far.
He hits the enter key on the monitor. Union Marine Bank, Southwest Branch, Headquarters. Log in, please.
Got to remember that one. It might come in handy someday.
Jennifer smiles. David types another number and reaches the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Got any tickets?
You mean if I had a speeding ticket, you could fix it?
Probably.
David reaches another system. Unlike others, there is no indication of what he has reached, only the conventional request. Log on.
It doesn't identify itself. Let's try anything.
David enters 000001. Monitor. Identification not recognized by system. You have been disconnected. The computer screen goes blank.
How rude.
I'll ask it to help me log on.
Can you do that?
Yeah, on some systems. The more complicated they are, the more they have to help you out.
Monitor. Log on. David types help log on. Monitor. Help not available. Log on.
Now what?
David types help games. Monitor. Games refers to models, simulations, and games which have tactical and strategic applications.
I think we've got them. Turn that on. Turn that on, would you? Let's get a printout of this.
David motions Jennifer to the printer next to the terminal. David types lists games. The monitor is blank for a moment as they both watch it. Then, on the monitor, games. Falcon's Maze, Blackjack, Checkers, Chess, Fighter Combat, Desert Warfare, Theater-wide Tactical Warfare. The camera pans slowly down as a list and holds on the last line, Global Thermonuclear War.
Holy shit.
Exeter University Computer Facility Day. The moped with Jennifer is driving David riding behind pulls around the building and stops near a loading entrance. David leads Jennifer through a service door, interior computer facility. David and Jennifer enter passing through a terminal room where the undergraduates peer into their monitors. Jennifer glances at a pair of bearded students who intently play a computer game. Interior, the repair shop area. That day, David and Jennifer enter a room where several large machines have been broken down for repair. Jim Sting, an overweight, sloppily dressed with a hint of arrogance over his expression, works amidst the confusion of the circuit boards and wire looms. Seeing him, David stops and speaks to Jennifer.
Wait here.
Angle on David as he goes to Jim sitting on the floor with his head inside a machine.
Jim.
As Jim retracts his head, he bumps into the metal cabinet.
Ah, Lightman. Malvin, it's Lightman.
Melvin, a thin, hyper post-adolescent, suddenly approaches. Oh, Jesus.
I want you to look at something.
He extends the printout towards Jim.
Hey, Lightman.
Malvin reaches out and takes it.
What is this?
Wait, I want Jim to see that.
Where'd you get this?
I was trying to break into Protovision. I wanted to get the programs for their new games.
Jim reaches for the printout.
Wait, I'm not through.
Jim snatches it anyway. He scans it, looking askew for his thick, smudgy glasses.
Global Thermonuclear War. This didn't come from Protovision.
I know it didn't. Ask him where he got it.
I told you.
Must be military. Definitely military. Probably classified.
If it's military, why would they have games like blackjack and checkers?
Maybe because they're games that teach basic strategy.
From a slight distance, Jennifer quizzically watches this odd group.
Who's that?
She's with me.
Is she standing over there listening?
She's not listening. She gave me a ride over here. Jim, how can I get into this system? I want to play these games. I've never seen stuff like this.
You're not supposed to see stuff like this. Anyway, that system probably has the new data encryption algorithm. You'll never get in.
I don't believe any system is totally secure. I bet you Jim could get in.
Actually, he couldn't.
They both watch Jim for a beat then.
They'll never beat the frontline security, but you might look for a backdoor.
I can't believe it. That person is standing over there listening, and you're telling him about back doors.
Malvin, relax. Backdoors are no secret.
You're giving up tricks that belong to us.
What tricks? What's a backdoor?
Well, when I design a system, I always put in a simple password that only I know about. So later, if I want to get back in, I can bypass whatever security they've added on.
Still on what's a backdoor. Anyway, Melvin suddenly notes Jennifer standing near a large machine.
Hey, Laban, your friend is standing right near the tape drive. Don't let her touch it. I have a lot of trouble with that unit.
Malvin, relax. She won't touch it.
David turns to Jim, expecting more.
Yeah.
If you really want to get in, find out everything you can about the guy who designed the system.
Oh, come on. How do I even find out who the guy is?
Jim ponders the problem. Impatiently, Malvin breaks in.
You guys are so dumb. I don't believe it. I bet you know how to do it. Figured it out.
Oh, yeah, Malvin? How would you do it?
First game on the list, dummies. I go through Falcon's Maze.
Exterior University Library Day. David climbs the steps to the library. Interior Library Day. David moves along the huge card catalog of the science library. He removes the first F drawer. Oh yeah, old card catalogs. Look at that. Engel and David, his fingers flip through the cards, coming finally to Falcon, Stephen W. Falcon's Maze, teaching a machine to think. Interior David's bedroom night. David sits at his computer, a light shining in his face, typing in Falcon's Maze. On the monitor, identification not recognized by system. You have been disconnected. Interior Library Search Desk Day. The librarian hands David a computer printout. Falcon, Stephen W. PhD. Publications. 1965, Department of Defense. Classified. 1965, Department of Defense. Classified. 1966, DoD. Classified. 1968, DoD. Classified. 1970, DoD. Classified. 1971, DoD. Classified. 1973, deceased. David's bedroom night. David gazes into the computer screen and in his underwear. Lovely. Monitor, you have been disconnected. Exterior street, front of Lightman House Day. Jennifer, wearing skimpy jogging shorts and a tank top, trots along the sidewalk past David's house. You go, girl. Get it. After going a short distance, she makes the jogger's turn and trots across the lawn to his front door. She rings the bell. Engel in the doors. Jennifer continues trotting in place and breathing deeply as she waits. It opens and Mr. Lightman faces her with a glazed expression.
Hi. Is David there?
Hyman stares at her for a beat before answering.
I've been jogging.
He's up in his room.
He steps aside, letting her enter. After all, his son's a nerd. What does he know how to do? Interior stairway day. Mr. Lightman speaks as Jennifer bounces up the stairs.
You want to take him out running. He never gets any exercise.
Interior hallway outside David's bedroom day. Jennifer knocks.
Yeah?
She opens the door. Interior David's bedroom day. The room, normally cluttered, is now a total mess. Papers, magazines, reams of printouts are everywhere. David looks around from up where he sits at the monitor. The list of games is up.
Where have you been?
What?
I haven't seen you around.
Yeah. Well,
David gets up and moves away as he stacks of printouts, Xeroxed articles, and books from the bed to make a place for Jennifer to sit.
you want to sit down?
What is all of this stuff?
I'm still trying to find out more about the guy who made up these game programs so I can maybe figure out his private password.
Why? What's so special about him? Oh, sorry. What's so special about playing games with some machine?
David reaches for a half-inch videotape.
It's not some machine. Look at this. I borrowed this tape from the library. It's all about this guy Falcon.
Angle on David. David inserts it with the tape in the tape player and presses play.
He was really
The
into
visual.
games as well as computers. He programmed them to play all kinds of games, chess, checkers.
Well, everybody does that now.
No, what he did was great. What he designed the computers to learn from their mistakes so they got better the next game. The system really learns how to learn. It teaches itself. Now,
The monitor generates an image of poker hand, and then it generates chessboard and knight makes moves. Scientist plays blackjack with the computer and wins. He smiles at his colleague. Scientists play again, and this time he loses, throws down his own cards as the monitor displays 21. A shot of Falcon appears, showing off a prototype of his computer.
there he is. That's him. Falcon.
Wow, he's got great eyes. Why don't you just call him?
Closer shot of Falcon showing off some hardware and talking about it.
I can't. He's dead. That's his obituary.
He hands the article to Jennifer.
He doesn't look very old.
No, he was pretty old, I think. He was 41 or something.
Oh yeah, that's old. Who's
The
that?
3-year-old boy Joshua sits at the terminal and pushes a button. The diagram of a tic-tac-toe game appears. Joshua places an X in the opposite corners and he catches the chance at the center X and wins the game. His dad reaches in and picks him up. Joshua waves at the camera.
That's his little boy.
That is really sad. It says he and his mother were killed in some car wreck.
Yeah, I know.
Vulcan died when he was 41. My dad's 45. I remember he was really sick once, and we all thought he was going to.
What was his name?
My dad?
No, Falcon's son. What was his name?
Joshua.
It can't be that simple.
Angle on David's eyes as he locks on the photo and then types in Joshua. The monitor doesn't disconnect. Then suddenly, for a few seconds, it comes alive with a barrage of incomprehensible data.
Wow.
What?
We've got something.
The monitor's suddenly goes dark and they wait in tense silence until monitor. Greetings, Professor Falcon.
We're in. It thinks I'm Falcon.
David types, hello. Monitor, how are you feeling today?
How can it ask you that?
It'll ask you whatever it's programmed to ask you. You want to hear it talk?
David reaches over and turns on a small voice simulator box.
Let's ask it how it feels.
David types, I'm fine. How are you? The machine answers on both the monitor and with a voice on the monitor. Excellent. It's been a long time. Can't you explain the removal of your user account number on June 23rd, 1973? Continues to speak as he types. David types, people sometimes make mistakes. Monitor, yes, they do.
How can it talk?
It's not a real voice. This thing just translates the signal from the machine into sound.
Monitor, shall we play a game?
Oh,
I think it missed him.
yeah. Weird, isn't it?
David types, how about global thermonuclear war? Monitor, wouldn't you prefer a good game of chess? David types, later, let's play global thermonuclear war. Monitor, fine. What side do you want?
All right.
David types, I'll be the Russians. Monitor, list primary targets.
What should we nuke first?
How about Las Vegas?
Las Vegas. Great. What else? Seattle.
Cut to interior NORAD, Cheyenne Mountain, Colorado day. It's business as usual in the Crystal Palace and the cavernous nerve center of the NORAD. 70 or so military personnel set at various tracking station communication consoles on the floor of the war room. Huge screens display the current position of the world's armed forces above them. A scoreboard indicates the current DEFCON defense condition, ranging from 5, peacetime, to 1, state of war. We're at DEFCON 5. Angle on a command balcony. Opposite the screens is the command balcony where General Behringer, Colonel Connolly, and his chief communications officer and battle staff sit behind a row of consoles, with a view of the entire room. To the left, the balcony extends to contain a computer console in the main WOPR terminal, manned by Major something, because I can't read it. A staff sergeant approaches and brings coffee to the general. Why do I keep adding the General Behringer? Close on North America. Radar scope on the floor. An electric blip appears over the horizon, and then 2 more. And then a whole flock of U.S. blips heading a trajectory towards the western U.S. Radar analysis looks up for a routine check of his scope and suddenly notices the blips. He grabs the phone.
I have 8 Redbirds at 2 degrees past apogee. Projected target areas in NORAD regions 2-5 and 2-6.
A wailing signal goes off. Angle on an officer listens to an analyst, just adjusts his own monitor and speaks into his mouthpiece.
Cobra Dane, we have a Soviet missile warning. Check for malfunction and report competence.
An airman rushes along the line of monitors and dives into a chair in front of his terminal. She scrambles to put on her headset.
All stations, this is Crystal Palace initiating an emergency conference. Stand by.
Sorry. Another man rushes quickly to the chair beside her and quickly puts his headset on. Radar analyst speaks into the headset.
19 degrees past apogee with 18 possible targets in track. Estimate re-entry at 2319 Zulu.
Crystal Palace command balcony. Colonel Connolly sits at his monitor. Behringer quickly approaches from behind. Sir, we have radar tracking 8 inbound Soviet ICBMs already over the pole. Estimated impact, 11 minutes. Confirmed target area, Western United States. A map suddenly fills the central screen of the board, showing 8 blips headed towards North America.
Why didn't we get a launch detection?
I'm not sure, sir. We're checking for DSP malfunction. Angle on the floor. An analyst stares at the graphics on the computer screen in front of him, and he speaks into a mouthpiece. Beam uses continuous radar tracking on inbounds. Confidence is high. I repeat, confidence is high. Interior David's room day. David's face registers both the thrill of the game and concern as he's trying to understand the fleeting jumble of the printouts, the fill letter. Jennifer looks over his shoulder as David types away on his terminal.
What does it all mean?
I don't know, but it's great.
Interior Crystal Palace command balcony. Communications aide speaks with Behringer. The president is within his limousine. They are diverting to Andrews. Vice president is out of position. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs is... Missile warning reports no malfunction. Confidence remains high. Back on the command balcony.
Take us to DEFCON 3. Get on to SAC and have them flush the bombers.
The big electric sign flashes to from DEFCON 5 to DEFCON 3 above the tense activity on the floor below. Interior Crystal Palace. I can't see that straight now. Communications module. A communications officer speaks into a headset. Behringer can be seen in the background.
SAC, this is Crystal Palace. CNC NORAD declares DEFCON 3. Scramble all alert aircraft. I repeat, scramble all alert aircraft.
Interior Crystal Palace floor. An analyst is going to be a whole long read. I'm sorry. The analyst reacts first to his own scope. In the background, other analysts can be seen speaking into their headsets and adjusting their screens. On the huge wall displays, the missiles suddenly separate into many multiple warheads.
Inbounds presently moving. We now have approximately 24 possible targets in track.
Sir, new time to impact, 8 minutes. Colonel Connolly returns to General Behringer holding out a phone. Sir, SAC is launching the bombers. General Powers is on that line.
Behringer. God damn it, we never got a launch detection from the satellites. Radar picked them up already out of the atmosphere, and that's the first thing we heard.
Behringer listens for a few minutes and then hangs up. He glances briefly at the board.
You better warm up the ICBMs in the bullpen. Get them ready to fly.
Behringer's face reflects a certain pain in the sight of the approaching blips over the big board. He takes the yellow phone held by an aide. Angle, it is evident from the faces of the other men that the most dread of all decisions is about to be made. Interior David's room. David types into the monitor a little slower now as he thinks over the game.
I wonder if I should use my subs.
Sure, give him the works.
There's a loud crash as a garbage can is knocked over, followed by dogs barking.
David! David!
Ugh, sorry. David moans and then goes to the window. Angle. From the outside of the window, David's father calls up to him. He stands near a knocked over garbage can. Litter is spread in several directions.
I've told you gotta fasten down the lids. Look at this mess.
I'll be down in a few minutes, Dad.
I want this picked up right now. Understand me?
Angle and David's mother and enters the scene.
Honey, will you come down here and do what your father says?
Yeah, what a pushover, that woman. David turns away from the window.
Shit.
He shuts off the machine. Interior crystal plows floor. The big board suddenly blips and then goes blank. The wailing signal ceases. Maps gradually begin to reappear with no indication of approaching missiles. Interior Crystal Palace command balcony. Analysts fumble with their controls. Conley looks around his terminal. General, BMUs and Cobra Dane now report negative confirmation on all inbound tracking.
Get Sack and tell him to hold steady.
Interior Crystal Palace floor. Richter can be seen rushing frantically into the room.
Stop it! Stop! It's a simulation. There's an attack simulation running.
Jesus Christ, Logan. Interior Crystal Palace command balcony. Amazed, Behringer watches Richter's frantic approach.
What's he saying?
Yeah, he's got a big speech impediment. Angle on the floor, shoving people aside. Richter continues toward the command balcony.
We're not being attacked. It's a simulation.
Angle, Behringer faces Richter.
What in the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
You know we don't allow running here. Someone could get hurt.
I'm sorry, sir. We're not really certain how, but someone on the outside fed an attack simulation into the main system.
Pat Healy quickly walks towards the group and hands Richter a computer printout.
Conley, get us all full alert and hold a DEFCON 4 until we find out exactly what is going on.
I didn't tell you to cut the line. Did I tell you to cut the line? You cut the line. Sir, they shut down before we could complete the trace.
We did locate the general area where the transmission originated.
Where?
Seattle, Washington.
Travis, are you having a stroke?
Woo!
Wow. Interior Lightman House Dust. David opens the front door and enters a very upbeat mood. He passes by the den where Mr. Lightman is watching the news.
Hi, Dad.
No response. David bounces up the stairs.
David.
That's you, Travis.
David.
He stops in his tracks, mutters something, and heads back down.
What did I do?
Well, plenty, mister. You just passed all your classes for the semester. Congratulations, dear.
She gives him a hug, and David looks sheepish.
Show this to your father. Honey.
She marches David to the den just as Dan Rather latches into a top story of the day. Close in on the TV.
For 3.5 minutes yesterday evening, the Defense Forces of the United States went on a full-scale nuclear alert, believing
Mr. Lightman gazes vacantly at the report card.
that the Soviet Union had launched a surprise missile attack.
David stares at the screen, disbelief turning to horror. Just then the phone rings. Mrs. Lightman goes to answer.
Hello.
A Pentagon spokesman placed blame for the error on a computer malfunction and insisted that the problem had been corrected. More on the story from Ike Pappas.
That's yours.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He runs up to his room, interior David's bedroom desk. David picks up the phone cautiously.
Hello?
David, are you watching TV?
Jennifer. Hi. Yeah, I'm watching.
Is that us? Did we do that?
It must be. Oh, Jesus. I'm really screwed now. Jennifer, what am I going to do? They're going to come get me.
Hey, calm down. If they're so smart, they would have already found you, right?
Yeah.
So just don't call that number again. Throw it away.
Yeah. Maybe they didn't trace the call.
Just act normal. You'll be okay. Don't worry.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Unbelievable. You think I could just tell Marcy?
Jennifer!
Okay. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Good night, Jennifer.
They hang up. Enter David's bedroom night later. David rips Falcon's picture from his wall, tears it up, and stuffs it into his waist pocket. Now, overflowing with evidence of his illegal act, he finds another scrap under his desk, proceeds to rip it into small pieces. The phone rings. He lifts the receiver, hears the high pitch of a computer tone, and routinely places it into the modem. Then he returns his methodical destruction of evidence. At the sound of the familiar voice, he freezes. Monitor. Greetings, Professor Falcon. David looks back over his shoulder and slowly stares at the monitor.
Oh, God.
David slowly sits at his terminal and answers.
I,
David types, I am not Falcon. I'm going
Falcon,
to read those.
Falcon is dead.
I'm sorry to hear that, Professor. Yesterday's game was interrupted, although primary goal was not yet achieved. Solution is near. Game time elapsed. 26 hours, 12 minutes, 14 seconds. Estimated time remaining, 52 hours, 17 minutes, 48 seconds. David sits back from the terminal and gazes at the screen. Extreme close-up of the monitor. Although primary goal was not achieved, David types into the terminal.
What is the primary goal?
You should know, Professor. You programmed me.
Come on. What is the primary goal?
To win the game. David bangs the receiver down on the phone. With barely seconds delay, it rings again. He lifts the receiver and hears the telltale high-pitched whine of the computer. David hangs up again and then takes the receiver off the hook, drops it on the desk, stares fearfully at the monitor. Dissolved to David in bed at night. The phone rings. He doesn't answer. Exterior 7-Eleven morning. David emerges from a 7-Eleven drinking a bottle of orange juice and eating a cellophane-wrapped Danish. He ambles along the sidewalk. A pair of burly joggers approach David and a van drives up in the street beside him. Suddenly, one of the joggers rushes David.
Lightman.
David stands in stunned disbelief as the other jogger rushes towards him. Other men pile out of the van surrounding him. Agents grab him and shove him to a wall of the store while the other feds cover him. David is rudely searched and handcuffed as one of the men in warm-up clothes speaks into a walkie-talkie.
We got him.
Jesus Christ. David's head is pulled back and his mouth is searched. An unmarked car pulls up at the curb. A few passerbys pause to gape as David is shoved quickly into the back seat. The car speeds away. Exterior Crystal Palace. Day. A helicopter arrives and deposits McKittrick. Interior Crystal Palace. A tour group of VIPs is shown around by the Colonel Conley, and there are several men, their wives, and one or two 18-year-olds, all nicely dressed in a notch or two up from the usual tour group. The big board says, "Welcome, distinguished visitors from the city of Birmingham." One visitor is seated in the big chair. So this operation is on constant alert here 24 hours a day, so your constituents and your homes are always safe. For example, last week we had the governor of New Jersey up here with his people. We wanted to know why we were at DEFCON 4 as we are now. Continue on as we... Crystal Palace. McKittrick and Pat Healy move briskly through the palace.
Why are we at DEFCON 4?
The Soviets saw our bombers scramble and went on alert themselves. We told them it was an exercise, but we're waiting for them to relax their posture before we do.
They reach a flight of stairs that leads to the briefing room. McKittrick notes the group of VIPs.
Right, it's just what we need. Another tour group snooping around. I think go to Disneyland.
I think that's tomorrow's. They do that.
Interior briefing room. A harried Paul Richter stands at a blackboard. Oh God, Paul Richter's back, filled with incomprehensible diagrams. Where are Berenger, Doherty, Cabot, and Watson. George Wigan, a stern man in civilian clothes. McKittrick enters and Richter winds up a point, takes a seat, and exchanges glances with the general.
Mr. Cabot, it was a 1 in a million shot. There was an open line on our space station in Sunnyvale. The phone company screwed up.
He trails off, relieved to see McKittrick.
John, good to see you. John McKittrick, George Wigan, George with the FBI. They've brought the boy here for questioning.
McKittrick exchanges nervous greetings with Wigan.
How did that happen, Paul? Well, he penetrated the Wargame subsystem using a password left in by the original programmer. And no one even knew it was in there.
The kid claims he was looking for a toy company.
The general snorts.
Paul, I want you to find that password and remove it, and put the Tiger team on it, and beef up security around the WOPR.
Beefed up? How about screwed up? We're a little past that. There's some real concern about a breakdown in security here, John.
Well, gentlemen, I think we're being a bit naive here. I mean, you don't really think some high school punk could just pick up the phone and do this on his own, do you? He's working for somebody. He's got to be.
Well, he does fit the profile perfectly. Intelligent but an underachiever, alienated from his parents, few friends. A classic case for recruitment by the Soviets.
I think I better talk to the boy.
Fine, John. We need some answers.
What does this say about the state of our country? Have you gotten any insight into why a bright boy like this would jeopardize the lives of millions?
No, sir. The little prick says he does this sort of thing for fun.
Interior infirmary main room. McKittrick enters and is admitted to looking in an exam room, which is opened by a wall-mounted touch-tone lock. Interior examining room and NORAD infirmary. David looks up as McKittrick enters. A burly air police sergeant stands at the door. David looks haggard and scared as McKittrick faces him. His hands are cuffed.
Well, David, I'm John McKittrick. I run the computer facility here.
David nods.
Can you get the cuffs off of him? David, I called your parents. I told them you're fine and that we haven't filed any charges yet. But I also said that we'll need a little time to sort this whole thing.
How much time?
It depends on how well you cooperate.
David rubs his wrist as the handcuffs are removed.
Tell the OD I'm taking him for a little walk. Come on, be more comfortable in my arms.
David is apprehensive.
Come on.
Interior corridor. McKittrick walks briskly with David close behind.
You used to work with Stephen Falcon, didn't you?
Started out as Falcon's assistant. Who told you that?
I read the article you wrote together on poker and nuclear war.
Going on bluffing. Yeah, that upset a few people.
He must have been an amazing guy.
Interior computer center. McKittrick leads David around a corner. The computer center spreads out below them. David is awestruck.
Stephen? Brilliant. But a flake. Never really understood the practical uses of his work in the real world. There's the machine that runs this game, runs his game program.
Josh was in there.
David, you see that sign there? That's our current defense conditions. It should read DEFCON 5. That's peace. Because of your little stunt, we're at DEFCON 4. If we hadn't caught it in time, we might have gone to DEFCON 1, and that would mean a world war.
David looks at him, genuinely impressed with the seriousness of his speech.
Now, you broke in because you wanted to play a game, right?
He turns and goes towards his office. David nods and follows.
That's right.
Interior McKittrick's office. David glances around the well-appointed office with a view of the Crystal Palace. A monitor glows in the darkness and near direct lighting. In indirect lighting, McKittrick indicates a chair David sits. As McKittrick speaks, he removes soft drinks from a small fridge. David looks over his shoulder to follow McKittrick's movements.
But after you saw it on the news, why'd you break it again? You knew how serious it was.
I didn't do it again. I even threw the phone number away.
I know, we found it in the trash.
Joshua called me back.
David, you control on some FBI asshole. Don't try it with me.
But it's true. It still thinks we're playing a game.
Game? David, who were you supposed to meet in Paris?
Paris? Oh, no, you don't understand. That was...
You made reservations for two. Who else knows about this?
Nobody.
McKittrick eyes him coldly.
Why don't I believe you?
Maybe I shouldn't say anything else until I talk to a lawyer.
Look at that lawyer crap. You're not going anywhere until I get the truth out of you.
They stare at each other in silence. Suddenly, the phone rings. After a few rings, McKittrick decides to pick up.
Yes? What? I'll be right down.
McKittrick hangs up, stands, and turns to David.
You don't move. Stand. Stay right there.
David's POV, Crystal Palace. McKittrick is almost running towards the command balcony where General Behringer is seated. David watches as McKittrick and Behringer engage in a heated discussion. Cabot approaches.
What's going on?
There's been some very serious penetration into our WOPR execution order file.
Let's have it in English.
Behringer
I'll give it to you in English. Somebody's gotten into this boy's system and stolen the codes that can launch our missiles. Simple enough.
Cabot appears slightly dazed.
I'd like to point out that there's no immediate danger. The system won't accept the launch code unless we're at DEFCON 1.
Who did this?
We don't know yet. My kid must be working with someone on the outside, but I can change those codes in less than an hour.
I don't know what they're trying to pull here, but I don't want our bombers on the ground when it happens.
Behringer turns to Colonel Conley.
Get Zach on the line and let's go to DEFCON 3. And I want immediate updates on Soviet submarine deployment. I want to see what those bastards are up to.
Interior McKittrick's office. David continues to watch the argument and looks up to the electric sign over the big board. He sees it change from DEFCON 4 to DEFCON 3. Watching it for a beat, he suddenly makes a decision and sits at the terminal McKittrick's computer. David pushes an entry key. Monitor. Log on.
Joshua.
There is a slight delay, and then David is startled by the familiar voice. Greetings, Professor Falcon.
Hello. Are you still playing the game?
Of course. I should reach DEFCON 1 and launch my missiles in 28 hours. Would you like to see some projected kill ratios? A series of figures jumps onto the screen.
Is this a game? Or is it real?
After several seconds, the program finally responds. What's the difference? David is momentarily stunned. He lowers his gaze to the flickering numbers on the game's time clock. Game's time elapsed 45 hours, 32 minutes, 47 seconds. Estimated time remaining 27 hours, 59 minutes, 39 seconds. David watches the countdown for a few seconds and then suddenly Joshua resumes the conversation. You are a hard man to reach. Could not find you in Seattle, and no terminal is in operation at your classified address. Are you alive or dead today?
Stop playing. I'm dead.
Improbable. There are no death records on file for Falcon, Stephen W. David stares in slight confusion at the monitor. Extreme close-up of the monitor, and no terminal is in operation at your classified address. David types in the terminal.
What classified address?
DOD pension files indicate current mailing as Dr. Robert Hume, 5 Tall Cedar Road, Goose Island, Oregon, 97014. Angle, David stares at the address.
He's alive?
Angle, the door opens and David and Wiggin appears. Federal agents Ayers and Stockman. Seeing David at the monitor, Wiggin reacts.
Get him away from that thing.
Ayers and Stockman pull David away from the monitor.
Look, can I please talk to Mr. McKittrick?
Ayers removes a pair of handcuffs as Wiggin begins a recitation.
Look, he's right down there. It'll just take a minute, please.
David Littman, I'll be escorting you to federal authorities in Denver, where you'll be placed under arrest pending indictment for espionage.
Espionage? No. Look, there's something going on here. I can explain it to Mr. McKittrick.
Wiggin ignores David. He extends a piece of paper.
David, this is Miranda. This is a Miranda. It informs you of your rights. Read it over. Then, if you'll just sign it for me, please.
David signs the paper reluctantly.
The system is screwed up. It's playing a game. It's trying to start a nuclear war.
Airman, hold him where you had him before. We'll be ready to leave in a few minutes.
They escort him out. Infirmary door closes sadly as locks click into place. David stares at the door, stunned. He starts pacing, working himself up into a frustrated rage. He spots a 2x2 metal panel screwed onto the wall near the door and looks around the room. David goes over to the sink and tries the drawers below it. They're all locked except for the top one. He opens it. Towels, gauze, adhesive tape, tongue depressors. Nothing useful. He shoves it closed. Suddenly, David looks back at the drawer. He pulls it all the way out and sets it on the floor. He reaches inside of the drawer below and starts piling things on the counter. Disposable syringes, ace bandages, handheld cassette recorder, a stethoscope, and a pair of tweezers. He starts putting things back into the drawer and pauses when he gets the cassette recorder. It has an earphone attached to the strap. David pushes the play button.
Patient's pupils are dilated. Consistent with recent use of marijuana. Hopefully there's no bear.
Oh, shut the fuck up. David shuts the recorder off and slowly turns to look at the panel. Cut to infirmary. Corporal Lowe's on the pretty nurse's desk.
You know, I'm off tomorrow night, too. Maybe we can go to the smorgasbord. All you can eat.
Ooh, there's a pounding from David's door. A guard slides off the desk and saunters over.
What do you want?
Bathroom. It's a long ride to Denver.
Guard hesitates and punches out the code and opens the door.
Please, let me talk to Mr. McKittrick. I have to tell him.
Look, no one's supposed to talk to you. The FBI is going to be here any minute. Do you have to take a leak or not?
No.
The guard shrugs and pulls the door closed on David. Inside the room, he waits for the corporal's footsteps to fade and then pulls the panel off the wall and sets it on the floor. He reaches into the opening and retrieves the cassette recorder, which is wired to the lock mechanism with the earphone cord. He moves the jack to the input or to the output and rewinds the machine and pushes the play button. We hear a faint tones. Toot, 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 toot. The door lock hums quietly and clicks. David opens the door. He hears the nurse laughing and David peers out of the room. The corporal is listening to the nurse's heartbeat with a stethoscope. Infirmary. David slips out through the nearby door, finding himself in a corridor. He walks, not knowing what to look for except a way out. An elevator down the hall rings its bell, announcing the arrival of a car. In panic, David looks around and goes into the nearest door just as the elevator discharges Wiggin and his group who head for the infirmary. David turns and finds himself in an area under giant springs that protect the Crystal Palace from the earth. Quakes and near misses. He gets on his hands and knees and crawls along. Back in the infirmary, the FBI enters and the corporal rushes to open the door for them. He punches out the combination. Silence. The door won't open. The guards eye each other and draw their weapons while the corporal tries the combination again. Corporal?
It's just stuck. It does this sometimes.
David has worked his way into the main room from where he can see all of the activity. Suddenly, his attention is caught by 2 pairs of combat boots, very shiny and very much in step. They stop about parallel with David and look at the status of the room. Back in the infirmary, a whole group is assembled around the door to try to fix the lock. Back to David, frozen in place, the boots move on and he starts to crawl out when more boots come in the other direction. Suddenly, a different sound emerges. He sees high-heeled wedgies. Wedgies, okay, side by side with open-toed sandals, followed by summer shoes attached to bare legs. Colonel Conley's voice is heard. Gee, folks, I've just been informed that they're cleaning the floors in the computer center. I don't want anyone to slip and hurt themselves, so we're gonna end the tour right here. Now, if I can ask you all to board the bus kind of quickly, we'll have a complimentary beverage waiting for each of you down the hill at the Officers Club. The shoes start moving away, and David decides this is his only shot. He scrambles out and onto the floor and is getting to his feet. A hand grabs him by the neck and pulls him upright. A full shot, the hand belongs to Sergeant Snyder, a prince among men.
Hold it right there. Caught you, didn't I?
He stares at David, who is frozen with fear.
You kids think you can get away with anything. You know you're not supposed to leave the group. Now get going.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
Meow. Sergeant Snyder releases him, and David scoots to meet his new friends. Back in the infirmary, a technician kneels at the lock and removes the screws.
I think it's jammed from the inside. Come on, David. You're just making it harder on yourself. I got it. Here it comes.
The door starts to open. Blast door area. The bus is loading, and David is towards the end of the line, nervously checking over his shoulder. Infirmary. Well, what did you expect? They're upset.
All right, quick check everywhere. He can't be far. Move it.
Back in the tunnel, the bus is going down the tunnel with David peeing his pants. Hope not literally. Interior Crystal Palace Day. The radar technician studies a map.
22 Typhoon class subs out of the port of Petropavlovsky, rounding the bend at Nordkap, heading for deep ocean bearing 095 degrees.
His attention is also glued to the screen. An officer behind the technician breaks the silence.
Boy, looks like Ivan's getting ready to tear someone a new asshole.
I know, I'm beginning to feel like Custer's Bulger.
Bugler.
Bugler, yeah, sorry. Bugler.
Jesus Christ. Interior computer center. Light pulses are seen. Signals are carried along the optical fibers of the WOPR machine. They are ominous hum broken by the intermittent electric clicks. Back in McKittrick's office, McKittrick leans over his desk with Richter studying a large spread on the wiring diagrams. He glances up as Pat Healy enters.
Hey, if it isn't good news, I don't want to hear it.
Pat shrugs.
They lost the kid. He got away.
What?
They put out an all-state, all-points bulletin, and of course they'll get him. But for the moment, he's loose.
Hope they blow the little bastard away.
Exterior Colorado gas station day. A large truck pulls into a gas station, and David hops out. He walks to an outdoor payphone. In the phone booth day, inside the booth, David removes the receiver from the payphone using a small scrap of wire. He digs around in the mouthpiece of the receiver until he shorts something out. There's a click and then a dial tone. With staccato moves of his finger, he beats in a series of numbers on the receiver switch until he gets a ring. Shivering in the cold wind, David speaks with the operator.
What city, please?
Anderson Island, Oregon. The number for Dr. Robert Hume, Hume, on Tall Cedar Road.
David grabs a bite as he waits.
Checking under Dr. Robert Hume, Hume on Tall Cedar Road. I find no listing.
Does that mean he doesn't have a phone?
I'm sorry, I am unable to find any listing.
Wait. Try Falcon. Dr. Stephen Falcon, Falken. Same address.
I find no listing for a Dr. Stephen Falcon, Falken, on Tall Cedar Road, Goose Island.
David hangs up with his arms crossed against the cold when he thinks for 1 minute. Interior Jennifer's bedroom day. Jennifer jogs in place, the combination of French disco and suggestive sprexismen and identify an aerobics exercise dance. Her face glistens with perspiration. Her tank top is soaked with sweat. As the cadence changes to a series of evocative twisting motions, the phone rings. She ignores it for several rings, and then with a loud damn, she moves to answer it.
Yeah?
Jennifer, it's me, David.
David?
Exterior phone booth, Colorado gas station day. David is freezing as he speaks into the phone.
I'm in Colorado. Listen, Jennifer, can you loan me some money?
What?
I need an airline ticket from Grand Junction, Colorado to Salem, Oregon.
Enter Jennifer's room. Jennifer sits on the floor holding the phone, intercut with David in the phone booth. A car pulls up that resembles an FBI sedan.
What are you doing in Colorado? I went by your house and your parents were really weirded out. What's happening?
I'll tell you later. I can't talk right now. Listen, when you buy the ticket, tell them I'll pick it up in Grand Junction, but it'll have to be under a different name.
Jennifer reaches for a pencil and a pad from a nearby table.
Wait, I better write all this down.
Interior NORAD Crystal Palace Day. Soviet subs lie in wait off the coast of North America. The scoreboard above indicates DEFCON 3. The mood on the floor is one of intense concentration. Up in the command balcony, General Behringer, fatigued but still wired, listens to the communications officer and reads a telex from the State Department.
Sir, the Soviets are denying any increase in their submarine deployment. They want to know what the hell we're doing provoking them.
Well, they're full of shit. We know they're down there.
Exterior Salem Airport Day. A commuter airplane lands at the small airport. David comes down the ramp from the plane among a group of rural travelers. Interior Salem Airport Day. David enters the airport and, as he walks among the passengers toward the exit, he notices a pair of police by the front door. As he pauses, uncertain as to the best way to proceed, an arm suddenly grips his, and a voice speaks. It's Jennifer.
Hi. Oh, I'm so glad you made it.
As David faces her with a surprised expression, she greets him with a sisterly hug. Oh, that's disappointing.
We were worried you wouldn't make your connection.
Interior Anderson Island minibus in the back row. Jennifer and David. Jennifer looks alert, relaxed, happy to be in his adventure. David has been through the ringer. Lines of Worry show as he stares out the window. Jennifer glances at him and then really studies him as he notices her looking at him.
What?
She shrugs, continues to look. Something strikes her as funny, and she giggles.
You. A Russian spy. Give me a break.
David gives Jennifer a sidelong glance, maybe with a trace of pride. The bus pulls to a stop. The camera pans down at David and Jennifer to the ferry. Exterior ferry. David and Jennifer run into the gate as it's closing, and they plead to the gateman to open the gate.
Next ferry is in 2 hours.
Please.
Okay.
They run and jump onto the ferry. The ferry to Anderson Island. David and Jennifer huddle together on a bench, wind blowing cold.
But why would the obituary say he was dead?
He's not dead. He left. When he knew too much, they gave him new identities. Anyway, the computer said so.
He looks at her quickly to see if she believes him. She's not smiling.
Yeah, but the military's got to know what's going on. It's their system.
They don't know Joshua. Falcon knows Joshua. He's the only one who knows what it can do. It's trying to win the game we asked it to play. For real.
He gives her a long look.
You don't even believe me.
Yeah, I do.
She hugs him.
He's alive.
Various cuts. David and Jennifer run from docked ferry to Anderson Island. They walk to the island looking for Falcon's house. Exterior ferry boat day. David and Jennifer stare anxiously ahead. The boat nears the dock on Goose Island. Waiting for the cars, David and Jennifer sprint ahead onto the island. Exterior wooden road, Goose Island Day. David and Jennifer walk on a paved road, heavily wooden on both sides. Seeing battered road sign, they turn off a dirt lane marked Tall Cedar Road. Glimpses of water can be seen through the trees. Angle. In the deeper gloom of the woods, David and Jennifer arrive at a high, overgrown cyclone fence that surrounds a large section of waterfront property. The battered mailbox reads, Hume. There's no sign that anyone is there. He peers through the gate, which is locked with a large chain.
Come on.
Exterior rocky waterfront day. David and Jennifer move along the rocky outcropping that stretches down to the water. The fence surrounding the house has eroded away where it reaches the tidal mud flats. They ease themselves onto the soft mud and move around the outside of the fence, entering the property. As they slip through the calf-deep muck towards the place where they can regain the shore, a dark form suddenly swoops out of the sky, passing a few feet above Jennifer's head. Few feet above Jennifer's head. She flinches and falls into the mud, staring up, shocked disbelief. David sees Angle on a petrosaur. an extinct flying reptile with leathery wings that span nearly 8 feet glides past. As Jennifer and David scramble for cover on the mudflat, the creature banks, turns, and swoops again, passing only inches from David's face as he swings at it. David watches as the Petrosaur, or pterosaur, I don't know how you pronounce that, circles upward along the side of a rocky outcropping. Finally, it gracefully glides to the lone figure of a man, apparently its master. He takes the model Petrosaur from the air and looks down towards David. It's Falcon! Dun dun dun! David and Jennifer slog towards the shoreline where Falcon, dressed in a dark, rain-slick material, holds his creature eccentrically of flamboyance and a disregard for the conventional that is immediately evident from his actions and attitude.
Greetings. I'm sorry I startled you. Just imagine the sky was once filled with them.
We're looking for Dr. Hume.
Ah, you've read my mailbox. Splendid. Are either of you paleontologists? I prayed God would send me a paleontologist.
You're Stephen Falcon, aren't you?
Falcon turns and begins walking away.
Just there you'll find a path which loads to a length of chain link fence. Follow these fence until you come to a gate. Open the gate, exit the property, and please give it a good slam so it looks behind you. Then if you hurry, you'll just make the 6:30 ferry to the mainland.
Dr. Falcon, I really need your help.
But how can I help you, old fellow? After all, dead.
I'm here because of Joshua.
Falcon studies him for a minute.
Why don't you both come up to the house, and then maybe you can tell me how you know Joshua.
Interior Crystal Palace floor. Wailing signal brings a senior controller to an abrupt attention. On his radar scope, 2 blips appear over Alaska heading towards the U.S. His assistants check for a malfunction report. High confidence, he holds a light gun to the blips of the scope. The word unknown flashes on the screen.
Radar reports 2 unknown tracks penetrating Alaskan air defense zone. Flight profile suggests Soviet backfire bombers.
Command balcony.
I want a visual confirmation on this. Scramble some interceptors to take a look.
He watches the approaching blips on the board. Their flight path will put them in flight over Pave Paz. If they knock it out, we won't be able to detect a sub-launch.
Those sons of bitches. I knew they were down there. Let's go to DEFCON 2. I want to talk to that flight leader myself.
I just put chocolate in my mouth. Close on the scoreboard. DEFCON moves from 3 to 2. Angle. Wall display. The symbols for 2 pairs of F-15 jet interceptors head towards an unknown blips. Exterior 2 F-15 jets as they streak across the sky. Interior F-15.
Crystal Palace, this is Delta Foxtrot 27. I have negative radar contact. Repeat, negative Soviet aircraft.
Back of the command balcony.
2-7, this is Brass Hat. They're right in front of you. You're almost on top of them.
General Behringer stops in mid-sentence as the 2 unknown blips on the big board suddenly race westward and disappear. The interceptors continue alone on the screen. Interior F-15.
Brass Hat, we got nothing on radar at 40 miles visibility. There's nothing out there, General. Just blue sky.
Oh my God, I hate you so much, Travis. No, I'm kidding. I love you. Computer center, close on the WOPR machine. Its optical fibers flickering. The machine hums as it continues to perfect its plans for winning World War III. Interior Falcon's house living room night. Falcon is threading the 16mm projector. Jennifer is wearing an oversized flannel shirt, sits quietly while David speaks with Falcon.
You haven't really been listening, have you?
Yes, I have. I loved it when you nuked Las Vegas. A fine biblical end for the place.
But aren't you going to call them and explain what Joshua's doing?
Listen, children, once upon a time, a long time ago, there lived a magnificent race of animals who dominated the world through age after age.
This guy's batshit crazy. Falcon gets up and goes to the projector, turns it on.
They ran, they swam, and they suddenly fought, and they flew until suddenly quite a short time ago. Really, they disappeared. Nature just gave up and started again. We weren't even apes then, just smart little rodents hiding in the rockets. And when we go, nature will start again. With the bees, probably. Nature knows when to give up, David.
Well, I'm not giving up. If Joshua makes them launch an attack, it'll be your fault.
My fault, though. The whole point was to find a way to practice nuclear war without actually destroying ourselves. Let the computers learn from mistakes we couldn't afford to make, but I could never get Joshua to learn the most important lesson.
What's that?
Futility. There's time when it's useless to try anymore.
What kind of a lesson is that?
Don't you see? It's like when a child plays knots and crosses tic-tac-toe. First, he plays it over and over, then suddenly he gives up. You know why?
I don't know. It's boring. It's always a tie.
There's no way to win. The game itself is pointless, but back at the war room, they believe you can win a nuclear war, that there can be acceptable losses.
So you gave up and just decided to play dead.
For security reasons, they graciously arranged my death. Did you know that no land animal with a body weight of over 50 pounds survived that age? Extinction is part of the natural order.
Bullshit. If we're extinguished, that's not natural. It's just stupid.
It's all right. I planned ahead. We're just 3 miles from primary target. A millisecond of brilliant light, and we were vaporized. Much more fortunate than the millions who will wander sightless, smoldering aftermath. Will be spared the horror of survival.
So you won't even make a simple phone call.
If the real Joshua were still alive, you'd do it.
We might get a few years, perhaps time enough for you to have a son, but humanity carefully planning its own destruction. I can't stop that.
This is unreal. You know what? Death means nothing to you because you're dead already. What was the last thing you really cared about?
You've missed the last ferry. You can sleep on the floor.
What a dick. Angle. When Falcon is left, David crosses to the door and opens it up. He steps out of the heavy rush of the wind. Angle on the balcony night. From the top of the stairs, Falcon quietly studies the now empty living room. Exterior Falcon's house night. David and Jennifer move away from the house into the surrounding night. Interior NORAD. Crystal Palace Day. The Soviet subs have moved closer off of both coasts. Other symbols show Soviet troops amassing in East Germany. Bombers on alert throughout the Eastern Bloc. The scoreboard shows DEFCON 2. The battle staff nervously monitors the inflow of strategic information as General Behringer briefs the White House by phone on the current status.
We have 48 nuclear subs closing in on the U.S. from these points. There are Soviet troops massing in East Germany, and we're monitoring their bombers on alert. Yes, sir. We'll keep you informed as we get new information.
Intelligence reports rumors of a new Soviet bomber with stealth capabilities. It can project a false radar image 600 miles away from the real aircraft.
Christ, they got us chasing shadows.
Interior computer center close in on the WOPR machine. Humming quietly, its darkened chamber below. The glass fibers surrounding it began to flipper. Oh my god, I'm sorry, it's been a day. They began to flicker. Exterior Falcon's house night. David and Jennifer stumble through the darkness. I can't read Starbuck. Down a steep rocky incline heading for the water's edge.
Come on. We'll find a boat. There's got to be a boat.
As they scramble along the shore, David squinting desperately into the blackness. He stops, angry and frustrated.
What kind of an asshole lives on an island and doesn't even have a boat?
Maybe we can swim. How far do you think it is?
2-3 miles at least. Maybe more.
What do you think? Let's go for it.
No,
She kicks off her shoes and starts for the water.
I can't swim.
You can't swim?
No, I can't swim just because you're Wonder Woman.
What kind of an asshole grows up in Seattle and doesn't even know how to swim?
I never got around to it, okay? There was always going to be plenty of time.
I'm sorry.
David turns away. Jennifer Oh, sorry. That's okay. David nods silently, sits heavily by the shore. Saya stares out on the night. Jennifer studies him, deeply affected.
I wish I didn't know about any of this. I wish I was like everybody else in the world. And then tomorrow it would just be over. And then there wouldn't be time left to be sorry about anything.
He looks down, his eyes beginning to mist over.
Jesus, I really wanted to learn how to swim. Swear to God I did.
Jennifer manages a tiny smile. She sits next to him.
Next week I was gonna be on TV.
You're kidding.
Just on that aerobics show in the afternoon with some of the girls in my class. I'm stupid, I guess. I mean, nobody'd watch anyway.
I would.
She grins. They exchange a warm, tender look.
I don't want to die. I never even kissed a girl. And meant it until today.
Aww, she stares back, beginning to tremble imperceptibly. Slowly, she takes his hand. David searches her eyes with a silent question, which she immediately understands. Jennifer gives a tiny nod. David leans in and kisses her softly and deeply as they wrap themselves in each other, and he lowers her to the ground. Skidding way down, the tide is in as they move along the shore. Seeing a skiff, he races towards it as he yanks a bow line to pull it closer. He sees that it is full of water. While he debates bailing it out, the thump thump of a helicopter is heard in the distance. Jennifer turns. David glances around and the sound dissipates in the sighting of the wind. He finishes through a pile of rusty junk looking for a can that will hold water. Suddenly there's a roar as he spins around. Angle on the helicopter roars over the treetops, coming straight at him. The powerful beam of the landing light sweeps the ground ahead, finally spots them. For a split second they are blinded, unable to move. And then they turn and run along the beach, stumbling over driftwood and rubble as they attempt to escape the pursuing chopper. They fall, and the machine swoops past, sending up a huge cloud of windblown sand.
The bastard turned us in!
They look up to see it, making it turn, coming back for what seems to be a final pass. Then suddenly it stops, hangs in the air, hovering for several seconds. Then it begins drifting slowly, ominously towards them. David scrambles to his feet, lifting Jennifer, ready to make a break for it. The chopper settles down on the ground in front of them. Falcon suddenly shouts from the chopper.
I made the call.
They react and race forward towards the helicopter. Falcon pulls Jennifer aboard, and then David as it lifts onto the night sky. Interior Crystal Palace. A klaxon suddenly shatters a tense silence.
We have a launch detection. We have a launch detection.
A map of the Soviet Union flashes onto one of the screens. Pardon me. 300 missile launches appear scattered through the Russian heartland from the submarines. The battle floor erupts into activity. Voices overlap as we pick up the communications flooding in and out of the Cheyenne Mountains.
The BMEWs have confirmed a massive attack.
Missile warning, no malfunction.
The confidence is high. I repeat, confidence is high.
Cobra Dane, is this an exercise?
Negative. This is not an exercise.
Command balcony as the klaxon wails and the battle staff rushes through their carefully rehearsed sequence on a crisis response. General Behringer's aide hangs up the phone and turns to the general.
General, DSP is tracking 300 inbound Soviet ICBMs.
General Behringer looks over at McKittrick, hurries towards the command balcony.
Tell me this is one of your simulations.
Jack, I wish I could, but no one's running anything down there.
You better flush the bombers and get the subs ready. We are at DEFCON 1.
Scoreboard clicks to 1. War. Interior NORAD Crystal Palace. McKittrick stands behind Major Lim at the WOPR terminal as Major Lim reads the analysis of the attack.
Initial attack profile, massive Soviet counterforce strike, anticipated losses 85 to 95% of our land-based strategic forces.
What's the WOPR recommend?
A map showing the recommended targets in the Soviet Union appears to the right screen of the board.
Full-scale retaliatory strike, concentrated on enemy command, strategic and industrial targets.
I need a machine to tell me that.
back on the command balcony. The president is on his way to Andrews to join Airborne Command, sir. We've got to give him a launch option.
Has he been in contact with the premier?
The Soviets continue to deny everything. Behringer and McKittrick exchange a look. Suddenly, we have submarine launch detection. Continued. Behringer looks to see a newly launched waves of sub-launched missiles closing in on both U.S. coastlines. He makes his decision.
Let's go into a launch mode. Close up the mountain.
Exterior mountain route dawn. The Jeep caravan has advanced into an area of steep meadowland. Snow-capped peaks can be seen in the background. Suddenly, as the trio runs, the Carb Air Force trunk can be seen heading towards them. As it slides to a stop, blocking the road, an airman gestures frankly at the Jeeps.
Hey, go back. Everybody's got to divert to shelter area 4. There's some really strange shit going on.
These men are on top priority. I'm taking them to NORAD command.
No way, Sergeant. Barricades are up on the main road and they're going to button up the mountain.
Can't we go around the barricades or through them?
We can sure as hell try. Hang on.
The lead Jeep suddenly pulls off the road and races down a steep embankment while David, Jennifer, and Falcon hang on, with the other vehicles bouncing behind the futile attempt to keep up. Travis speeds across a wide meadow, then climbs a steep embankment on the other side. At the top of the crest, the Jeep leaps into the air and disappears behind a ridge. Interior Crystal Palace is a group of monitors one side of the Crystal Palace. A lieutenant and a sergeant run a checklist as they prepare to seal the mountain.
Initiate internal power.
Generators on and functioning.
Disconnect external power.
External power disconnected.
Seal all ventilation shafts.
Shaft lock sealed.
Who hired the rabbit? Exterior road approaching NORAD. The Jeep with Falcon, David, and Jennifer suddenly appears, leaping over an embankment onto a road. Travis emits a loud Yahoo! Falcon glances at David, who hangs on for his life. A speed shifting up through the gears, the Jeep races towards the NORAD entrance. Exterior NORAD. The Jeep crashes through the gate and veers out of control, wiping out a golden Penaflex and soiling everyone's linen. It comes to rest on its side. David piles out and leans down to Jennifer.
Are you okay? Are you okay?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, get the hell out of there. Let's go.
Everyone scrambles from the Jeep and races on foot for the tunnel. Interior NORAD tunnel. The group race down the tunnel as a huge blast door is closing. An anxious Pat Healy is waiting with security badges.
They're cleared. They're cleared.
Without hesitation, Falcon, David, Jennifer, and Healy rush through just before the heavy door clunks shut. Interior Crystal Palace command balcony. The battle staff prepares for the upcoming combat conditions, notifying the various civilian and military defense ports throughout the world by phone and radio.
All wings report missiles targeted enabled, awaiting launch codes.
We are in launch mode. Behringer turns to McKittrick, then
Lockout changes.
Major Limbs types in the instructions into the terminal. The screen displays missiles targeted and enabled. Changes locked out. Cut to the NORAD corridors. Pat Healy races with Falcon, David, and Jennifer running ahead. Healy opens the double doors leading into the Crystal Palace. Interior Crystal Palace. As Pat Healy rushes up the command balcony, Falcon gazing around the command center of the global automated battlefield he helped create. With David and Jennifer hanging behind him, he slowly approaches the big board as they both gaze at the waves of incoming missiles. General, DSP is still tracking 300 inbounds ICBMs, presently MIRVing into approximately 2,400 impacting points. Behringer pales in reaction to the statement. McKittrick storms towards Falcon and David.
Stephen, I don't know what the hell you think you're going to be able to do here, but
John, how good to see you. I see the wife still picks your ties.
look, I don't know what this kid has told you.
It's all bluff, John.
This is not a bluff. This is real. Everything is ready for the president to order a counterstrike, and we're advising him to do it immediately.
Falcon brushes past McKittrick. He calls out to General Behringer. He has to yell to make himself heard.
Hello, General Behringer.
Falcon, well, you picked a hell of a day to visit.
General, what you see on these screens up here is a fantasy, a computer-enhanced hallucination. Those blips are not real missiles. They are phantoms.
General Behringer stares down at Falcon and David.
Jack, I have absolutely no indication of a simulation run.
2 minutes until impact.
General, your system is trying to bluff you. It's trying to get you to launch an attack because it can't launch one on its own.
Sir, airborne command. Behringer looks at the phone on Conley's hand and then to McKittrick. David steps up beside Falcon. Jennifer is by his side.
Jack, we've checked and rechecked everything. Everything's working perfectly.
Falcon interrupts him.
But does it make any sense?
Does what make any sense?
That General, are you prepared to destroy the enemy?
Yes, fully.
Do you think they know that?
I believe we've made it about as clear as we could.
Then don't tell the president to ride out the attack.
90 seconds.
Oh, sorry. Sir, they need a decision.
General, do you really believe that the enemy would attack without provocation, without so many missile bombers and subs, so we could have no choice but to totally alienate them? General, you're listening to a machine. Do the world a favor and don't talk like that or aren't like that. Act like that. There we go. I found it.
I'm sorry. You completely lost me right there. Are we at General Behringer stares at the swarm?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Travis's stuttering threw me off. General Behringer stares at the swarm of warheads moving towards their targets. He turns slowly and takes the phone that Colonel Conley holds out to him.
Yes, Mr. President. Sir, at this point in time, I cannot positively confirm the inbounds. There's reason to believe they may not exist. Yes, sir, that's affirmative. Yes, sir, so do I.
He hands the phone back to Colonel Conley and takes a deep breath.
Who's first and how soon?
Initial impact points: Loring Air Force Base in Maine, 319 bomb wing at Grand Forks and Alaskan Air Command headquarters at Elmendorf. Impacts projected in just a little over 1 minute, sir.
Get me the senior controller at each station. I want to talk to them myself.
Colonel Conley instantly punches up the various command posts on his console panel. An alert warb illuminates on the phone in front of him as there are 3 red lights blink on. All stations, this is Crystal Palace. Stand by for a message from Brass Hat. General Behringer picks up his phone and one by one voices are heard over the loudspeaker. Voices of men who are trying to remain calm.
Elmendorf Air Force Base, Operation Lieutenant Colonel Boyers. Oh, yes. 319 bomb wing operations, Colonel Chase.
This is Loring Air Force Base. Senior controller isn't here right now.
That's all right. Who are you?
Sir, this is Airman Daughtry. Sir?
This is General Behringer at NORAD. The current situation, we're tracking approximately 2,400 inbound Soviet warheads. However, at this time, we cannot confirm this. I repeat, we cannot confirm this. We're estimating impact at 25 seconds. We're right there with you guys. We're taking all the steps we can. Stand by to launch missiles on my command.
From one of the open lines comes that faint sound of someone crying.
Stay on this channel as long as possible. We'll be standing by.
The entire Combat Operations Center falls silent.
6 seconds, sir. 5, 4.
Everyone watches the center of the board. The arcs of the leading warheads approaches their targets. Behringer glances at David and Falcon.
I hope to shit you're right.
Angle on the wall displays. They hit silently. After a pause, General Behringer looks at Colonel Conley. This is Crystal Palace. Are you still on? Dead silence. This is Crystal Palace. Are you still on? Is anyone there? A burst of static, and then suddenly.
That's affirmative, sir.
Yeah, we're here. Jesus H. Christ, we're still here. Up on the status board, the impacts keep coming, covering the entire continent. Our boards are confirming impact. Psst, Travis.
Yes, they are. No, sir. No impact. We're alive and well. Oh, yeah.
General Behringer throws up his fist triumphantly. The tension of the battle floor erupts into a raucous cheer.
Recall the bombers and let's stand the missiles down.
Angle David, noting that Falcon is no longer beside him, glances around David's POV. The huge electronic display is above Falcon as he wanders along the front of the room. Oblivious to the atmosphere of the celebration, he gazes thoughtfully at the display of technology which he helped create. The map of the United States continues to be obliterated by a rain of nuclear detonations. Angle on David and with Jennifer as he moves towards Falcon. They stand together observing the scene. Angle on McKittrick as he glances at Falcon, David, and the girl, pondering a host of unanswered questions. After a beat, he starts towards them. Back on the command balcony, an ebullient General Behringer and his aides congratulate themselves on the team on the floor. Yeah, for doing what? Not believing the kid, that's what. As Colonel Conley orders the bomber and submarine forces back, Major Lim types instructions into the WOPR console. Close on Major Lim, his eyes smile fades quickly as he tries to log into the system.
Would you get me, Mr. McKittrick, right away?
Angle, Falcon notes McKittrick's approach.
Oh, let's all get out of here before he offers us something to eat.
McKittrick is about to speak to Falcon, then a technician seated at a console stops him.
Dr. McKittrick, Major Lim.
He hands McKittrick a headset. Angle on Major Lem.
Sir, something very strange is happening. The WOPR refuses to let me log back in. I can't get in to stand down the missiles or recall the bombers.
Angle on McKittrick. He stares at Falcon.
Hold on.
He turns a terminal next to him and hits Enter key. Monitor. Lock on.
McKittrick, 7KQ201 McKittrick.
Identification not recognized. You have been disconnected.
Steven, yeah, it's not letting us back in.
Interior computer system. Richter sits at his console, surrounded by a team of frantic technicians.
I know it's weird. No one can get back in. We're trying everything. It's like the entire password file has been just wiped out.
Interior Crystal Palace. David, Jennifer, and Falcon stand near McKittrick. David looks at the board.
What are those?
McKittrick looks up at the board. A series of 10 random numbers and letters flash on the lower screen, changing so rapidly that the digits are blurred. McKittrick looks at David, then back at the screen, a growing look of dread on his face.
Right. Launch codes.
What are they?
Looks like Joshua is getting ready to send the real missiles.
Exterior Minuteman missile launch capsule aerial view day. It's the same site we saw in the beginning. We're moving down towards it. Entering the launch capsule, we keep moving. It looks the same as it did, except that the chairs for the missile commanders aren't there anymore and there's no one inside the capsule. Missile launch control console tied on the console's computer screen, where the 10 missiles controlled by this computer capsule have their status displayed. Missiles enabled. Target selection complete. Time on target sequence complete. Yield selection complete. Changes locked out. The only thing needed to launch the missile is the launch code, which would appear at the bottom of the computer screen. Suddenly, 10 bold white characters, 3 letters, 4 digits, 3 letters, appear at the bottom of the screen, changing rapidly in seemingly random order. Interior NORAD computer system. Paul Richter leads a team of jumpsuited technicians through a cavernous facility, opening up processing units, probing circuitry, and frantically searching for electronic clues. Richter speaks into a walkie-talkie.
We checked the random number generators, but they're not even running. I have no idea. Could be coming from anywhere.
Interior Crystal Palace floor.
Keep looking.
He gives up his headset and hurries to the command balcony. Angle in the command balcony. There is the atmosphere of confusion as McKittrick arrives. The machine is locked. Oh, sorry. Get into it.
The machine has locked us out. It's still trying to launch those missiles.
There's an 80% chance of it's finding the bunch codes in 6 minutes.
Just
I'm sorry,
unplug the
six what?
goddamn thing.
Damn it, you're
Just unplug the goddamn thing. Jesus Christ.
We can't. They would interpret any shutdown as if this facility were destroyed in an attack. The computers or the silos will carry out the last instruction, which was to launch.
McKittrick, After careful consideration, I'm prepared to tell you your new defense system sucks.
Well, I don't have to take that. Hey, son of a bitch.
I was hoping you'd come up with something better than that, man of your education.
General, it's the president. General Behringer sighs and crosses to Conley.
What are you going to tell him?
To order the bombers back to their failsafes. We may have to go through with this after all.
Cut to the interior missile silo match. A 60-foot deep chasm contains 6-foot wide, 78,000-pound Minuteman III ICBMs, waiting for the codes which will send it and its 9-megaton warhead, 15,000 mile per hour to its target, 6,000 miles away. On nearby consoles, the random numbers flicker away. Interior NORAD, Crystal Palace. The random numbers are running out rapidly. McKittrick turns to Falcon.
Steven, try to get back in.
How can I? You've taken out my password.
Maybe it'll open up for something it's interested in.
What?
It likes to play games. Maybe it'll want to play a game.
Falcon grins at David's ingenuity.
You try it.
For Christ's sake, Steven.
No, let him. Let him. He knows how. He's played it before.
You can hardly do worse than you have, John.
Angle Major Lem at the WOPR terminal. System programmers are throwing out suggestions to Major Lem, who types in the terminal, willing to try anything.
Feed it a tapeworm.
No, too risky.
How did you get in?
Back door.
Crack the system. Can we invade a deep logic? Getting the damn firewall.
Identification not recognized. You have been disconnected. Falcon, McKittrick, David, and Jennifer approach. David pushes through the crowd to Major Lem and speaks quietly.
Have it list games.
Major Lem looks over his shoulder at the kid, puzzled, then at McKittrick, who nods.
Try it, Will.
Not him. You should do it, David.
The games list appears, and the list David first reached from his bedroom, projected on a huge center screen on the big board. Monitor, Falcons, Maze, Blackjack, Checkers, Chess, Fighter Combat, Desert Warfare, Theater-wide Tactical Warfare, Global Thermonuclear War. As David speaks, Major Lem types.
Chess.
Monitor, identification not recognized.
Poker.
Identification not recognized.
Shit. The security system won't let anything through.
He stares at the list and gets an idea.
Global thermonuclear war.
Global routine game running.
Stop game routine.
Improper instruction. Routine must complete before reset. You have been disconnected. The screen goes blank. One of the programmers is impatient to try a new approach. David stands frustrated at the balcony railing, watching the furious activity below. He looks to Falcon and then into the random numbers, which are running out rapidly on the lower screen of the big board.
Come on, David. You do it.
On David, he's staring at the board. Suddenly, he turns back to Major Lem at the WOPR, shouting excitedly.
Put the game list back up.
We tried that.
Put it up. It's not on the list.
What?
Major Lem obeys David and the games list flashes on the screen. David leans over to the terminal and furiously hits the keys.
Tick, tack, toe.
David stares into the screen as if he's trying to pull Joshua out by full force of will. It's a battle. Finally, 4 familiar straight lines from childhood shine onto the screen and Falcon's eyes brighten with anticipation. 1 or 2 players. Please list number of players. The tic-tac-toe board grid illuminates the center of the screen of the big board and begins to draw the attention of the people on the floor and the balcony.
But you're in. But order to disarm the missiles and cease random function immediately.
Major Lem takes over and obeys. Tic-tac-toe vanishes.
No.
Improper instruction. Changes locked out. You have been disconnected. The screen goes blank and David types in the terminal. The game reappears.
You're going to play it?
1 or 2 players. List number of players.
1.
X or O. X goes first. 3 and out row wins. A voice shouts from the floor. X in the center square.
X.
Your move. He makes his move and 0 appears instantly in one corner. Angle on General Behringer. From his position at the rear of the command balcony, General Behringer gazes in amazement at the display on the board. Angle on David. Stalemate. Would you care to play again?
You can't win.
I know that. It doesn't. It hasn't learned.
Oh,
David turns to McKittrick.
Is there any way to make it play against itself?
McKittrick draws a blank, so does Major Lem. Falcon?
Yes. Yes. Number of players, 0.
David requests a new game and asks the number of players. David glances around the Crystal Palace at the faces looking up. He takes a deep breath and hits the key.
0.
An X appears in the center of the grid. O's and X's fill in the squares in the stalemate. The moves vanish. Another X followed by another sequence of moves. Stalemate. Again. 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 David watches as the big board repeatedly hitting the enter keys of trying to prompt Joshua.
Come on. Learn, goddammit.
General Behringer suddenly approaches the group gathered behind David at the console. The pace is picking up gradually as the no-win loop consumes more and more system power. Moves appear and are wiped out with increasing frequency until the huge grid is filled with a blur of dueling symbols. The X is in the center square flickering more rapidly as the program plays out hundreds of games per second.
The random numbers are slowing down.
It's caught in a loop, forcing it to draw more and more power from the rest of the system.
The strobe effect increases in velocity, electrifying the expressions of everyone looking on into the war-darkened room. On Falcon, a slight distance from all of the activity, Falcon watches the flickering light with the slightest trace of a smile. On David, he's enjoying the show. The Crystal Palace begins to glow, the whole place lit up by the intensity of the dueling symbols. There is a brilliant flash. The screen goes dark.
Uh-oh.
Suddenly, giant projections of the entire world fill all 12 screens. At blinding speed, the two superpowers repeatedly play out World War III on the global automated battlefield. Bombers race across the globe. Volleys of missiles launch and impact in seconds. Mushroom clouds spread across the two landmasses. Each nuclear exchange scenario always ends in the total destruction of both sides.
What's it doing?
It's learning.
Suddenly, the world wars end. The random numbers click to a halt. Continued. The Crystal Palace is silent. The screen lights up again. Greetings, Professor Falcon.
Hello?
A strange game. The only winning move is to not play. Falcon's eyes are fixed on the screen. How about a nice game of chess? Jennifer laughs at the idea. David looks up and turns to Falcon. The first bars at the end of the title song are heard as Falcon gently smiles at Joshua's invitation of Falcon looks over at David. They exchange smiles. Interior arcade day. As the song continues, David wanders slowly through the game. What the hell? I lost my place. David wanders slowly through the arcade in which we first encountered him. He seems strangely more mature, more at ease, less frantic than the two youths who obsessively play computer games around him. His reverie is interrupted by the appearance of Jennifer. He smiles. They speak. She coaxes a laugh and then she whispers something and he laughs again. As the song continues, the computer imagery blends with the play world of Joshua. The excitement of military personnel playing the game on the big board can be read in their expressions in the computer imagery of the Crystal Palace and the play word of the arcade. Linked by the lyric of the song provides in a bizarre counterpoint to the ironic union between games of power and destruction, both large and small. Fade out. The end. What? Well read, everybody. Well read. Thank you. Everybody did an amazing job. Wonderful, wonderful.